Hey guys, Glutanimate here. Since it has been quite a while since my last upload, I just wanted to give you a quick status update on this channel. So for the past 4 weeks or so, I had to take a small break from video production due to the exams I had at the end of the semester. But now that this is over, I have a lot of new stuff planned for the next few weeks and months, and I just wanted to give you a quick overview of that. So the first thing I want to do over the next few weeks, keep up with the add-on guide series. I want to put out some more videos on different add-ons and how to use them with Anki. There are still a lot of new things to cover as far as that is concerned. But aside from that, I also want to put out some new videos on some add-ons which I've been working on over the past few months and which I have not released yet. So there will also be some new add-on showcases of brand new add-ons which have not been published so far. And as the last part of this new video production, what I want to start is to just produce a few videos where I go over specific areas of Anki and provide you with some high-yield tips of how you can enhance your Anki use. Now, there are a lot of fantastic video tutorials out there on YouTube that cover the basics, but I feel there are some areas where there isn't really much detail provided that could help people who are just starting with Anki figure out how to use Anki more effectively. For instance, how to use tags as compared to decks and other stuff around node organization and other things like that. So that's where I just want to concentrate on just specific areas and specific tips of how to enhance your Anki use. Now, that's as far as the overview of the next few weeks and months is concerned. Before we start with the next topic in this series, which will be another add-on guide video, I just wanted to do a quick callback to the last episode, which was the gamification episode. I was very happy to see the response to this. There was obviously a lot of interest in finding ways to make Anki more gamified, to make it more visually appealing and also more fun to use. And there were a few questions in the comments which I wanted to address in this video before I start with the next proper video of itself. So most of these questions were about how to customize some of these add-ons which I showcased, and especially there were quite a few questions about how to modify the progress bar add-on. The first question by Anthony was just a quick overview, just to give a quick overview of how you can modify source code of add-ons within Anki, because of course if you're not familiar with editing code in general, then that can be quite a difficult experience. So just to recap how you can modify source code of add-ons in Anki, the general way you do this if you're using or if you want to modify a simple add-on that only consists of one file, is to go to the add-ons menu, find the add-on in question, and then hit this edit menu entry right here. And this will launch a node editor, or rather a text editor that is built into Anki. And this will allow you to perform some simple changes to the source code. There are a few things I want to clarify first so that you know how to use this and how to modify these entries. Now, if you see a line in this code that is prepended with a hashtag like this one, then that means that that line is commented out. Commented out means that this line is not interpreted by the programming language. So anything you see that is preceded by a hashtag at the start of the line is not interpreted as code, but is rather provided to you as a way of informing you of what the code does. It's just a comment that allows you to read along as you go through the code itself. The other thing I wanted to stress here is that when you have to modify a specific variable, for instance, when you want to modify this entry right here and see that it is assigned to ls_blue, so in this case this would be the color of the percentage text on the progress bar, then if you see something like that, you have to make sure to check whether these values are quoted or not. So in this case, for instance, you see that this is double quoted, and when you modify this, you have to make sure to stay within those quotes. So for instance, if I wanted to change this to a different color, let's make it green, then I have to make sure to preserve the quotes around these. These quotes can either be double quotes or single quotes, it doesn't really make a difference, but it's important that you keep them preserved, otherwise the code will throw an error message. And another thing I wanted to showcase is that in some cases when you have to modify a number, for instance here where you have to modify the border radius, you do not quote the values. Rather, they are just provided as simple numbers. So instead of 0, for instance, I could insert 3 right here, and that would be a valid assignment of that variable. And the last thing I wanted to demonstrate, another type of variable, is this right here, where it says false. This is not a string as this one right here, it's not quoted. Rather, this is a Boolean operator. That's what we call a statement in the programming language, in programming languages, that simply has two states. Either it's correct or false, so either it's true or false. And specifically in Python, these two values are provided as capitalized true and capitalized false. So if you wanted to set the progress bar add-on to show you the percentage, you would have to type in true with a capital T. If you type in this right here, just true, that's not capitalized, then once again the add-on will throw an error and it will not work. So make sure to use these capitalized assignments of Boolean operators like true or false. Okay, that was just a general overview of how you can assign variables in add-ons. So to just go more into the specifics of customizing the progress bar, you pretty much have two categories of settings that you can adjust in here. All of these are below the touch section right here, so there are also variables here, but you should not modify them. They are just used by the code internally and do not provide you with any configuration abilities. Now the settings below here can be categorized, as I've said before, in two categories. The first one being the appearance of the progress bar, and the second one being its position and alignment. So for the appearance, you can customize different colors. For instance, these ones right here. If you're unfamiliar with this syntax here, which is a hexadecimal HTML color assignment, then you can simply go to Google and search for HTML color picker, and that will provide you with some tools that will allow you to just simply select a color visually, and then you will simply have to copy that value like this one right here and paste it into the source code to adjust the color. So for instance, if we wanted to change the background color of our progress bar to this dark red we just saw, we'll just have to replace the sequence inside the quotes with the value we just copied. Make sure that this space here, which apparently just appeared by copying and pasting the text, is not there. It should be just directly aligned to the quotes. And let's do the same thing for the foreground also. Let's set this to a darker red like this one. Once again, we simply have to copy this hexadecimal code, insert it between the quotes, and that's it. Okay, let's move over to the next series of settings, which are the alignment of the progress bar. There are two main settings you can modify here. The first one being the orientation on the screen, whether or not it should be shown horizontally or vertically. And as we noticed before, when there is a hash sign in front of a line, this means that the line is inactive. So in this case, we see that the line that assigns the orientation to the horizontal state is active, while the one that assigns it to the vertical state is inactive. So in order to change the alignment to vertical, we would just have to remove this hash sign in front of it, and from now on that means that the orientation HV variable will just be reassigned to this setting right here, which is to show the progress bar vertically. The same applies to the values down here. Once again, we have 4 different options, 3 out of which are commented out. The first option sets the progress bar to be displayed at the top of the screen, and that's the default. Now if we change the alignment to vertical, then of course it doesn't make sense to show the progress bar at the top. In that case, it would make sense to display it at the side, so either on the left side or on the right side, which are the 2 lines down here. So in this case, let's change this alignment to be shown to show the progress bar at the left side of the screen. Once again, we'll just have to find the correct line, remove the comment sign, and from now on that's what the add-on will be using. The last setting right here is disabled by default. As you can see, it's empty. It's just 2 quotes without any value between them, and that's because by default the styling that the progress bar uses is just taken from your normal system settings. So it does not use any custom styling for the progress bar, but just tries to imitate what your normal system dialogues also use. If you want to modify this, for instance, use a progress bar that is in the style of Mac or GTK or Windows XP for whatever reason, then you can just use that value, just copy it and paste it between here, and once again that should then change the styling of the progress bar. We do not want our progress bar to look like Windows XP, so we will not be doing this. As you can see, what I just did was just revert a change which I applied before. As with normal text editors, you can just revert changes by using the Ctrl+Z hotkey, if that's something you didn't know. That's also supported by this very simple editor, so that's great to have. Alright, I think we're done with our basic adjustments to the progress bar, so let's just go ahead and hit the save button. And if we now restart Anki, we should see that the progress bar should now look much differently from how it looked in the last video. And there we go. So we now have our custom colors. We see that the progress bar has rounded corners, which we set in at the top of the source code. And we also see that it's using a percentage sign. Of course, it's green, so it's not really appealing to the eye, but yeah, you can see how much customizability there really is in this add-on. Now, one thing that is not customizable in the top of the source code, but which I was asked about in the last video, is how you can adjust the width of the progress bar. And that is an important question because, as you saw before, it can take up quite a bit of screen estate. So how do you do this? Well, fortunately, one user was kind enough to provide us with a solution in the review section of the add-on. So if you scroll down here to the add-on reviews, you'll see that they provided this tip right here, that you should add this sequence to a specific point in the code, which is line 130. Now, unfortunately, Anki's source code editor does not provide you with line numbers. So my suggestion when you see something like this is to just copy the source code. Sorry, that was the wrong add-on. Let's go back to the progress bar add-on. There we go. To just copy the source code and insert it into a text editor like this one, which is Sublime Text. So we're just going to copy it right here, paste it in, and the great thing about this editor is that it provides you with line numbers on the left side. So let's go ahead and find line 130, which should be right here in the Q progress bar style sheet. There we go. And the thing we just have to do now is just insert with the line we just copied from the review, put it in right here. Let's go back and copy it again because we had the source code copied. Okay, so there we go. Just have to insert it below line 130. And then just copy the add-on code back into Anki's own node editor. Okay, so there we go. And let's just save the add-on and see what has changed when we restart Anki. And as we expected, the line width did change. Well, it didn't really change, did it? Okay, I see. So the thing here that is probably the problem is that we've just adjusted the maximum height, but because we've changed the orientation of the progress bar, that will not apply. So I think if we now go back into the progress bar source code and just set the alignment to be horizontally again, you'll see that it should work. So yeah, sorry guys, sometimes you just have to experiment with these things, and I think that's maybe a good showcase of how much experimentation there really is when coding. Okay, let's set the alignment back to the top of the screen, and let's also change the orientation to be horizontal. And if we do that and then restart Anki, we should see that the progress bar is now both at the top of the screen, and as you can see, it also is taking up much less screen size, which is great if you have a small screen like this one. And as you can see, even at this size, you can still see the progress as you move to the right side. So this is a great adjustment, a great tweak if you have a smaller screen. So that was the first thing that people were asking about in the comments. Another question by Hank iMac in the last video was how to restrict the progress bar to reviews only. And the reasoning behind this is that in some cases you might have a huge deck like this one right here of Brosencephalon, which has over, I think, 10,000 cards. I'm not sure, let's just check how many. Yeah, 13,000 cards. So in that case, if you were to use the progress bar, you would probably not see much of any progress because it's just too many cards. In those cases, it might make sense to just display the progress for the cards that are actually in review. And you can change this about the add-on by once again modifying the source code. In this case, we will have to locate one specific area or one specific segment of the add-on where the different card counts are added up. And let me just look for this quickly. It should be somewhere down below right here. Yeah, there we go. So it's in this getMX function. So as you see right here, you see that the total number of reviews that the progress bar uses in order to calculate the progress is composited through the reviews, the number of reviews, the number of new cards, and the number of cards that are in learning. So in order to adjust this so that the progress bar only shows you the progress of cards that are reviewed or that are in the learning queue, the only thing you have to do is just remove this middle segment right here, which adds the new cards, so that from that point on, only the review cards and learning go into the total that the progress bar accounts for. Okay, just perform that change. Once again, save the add-on. And if we now restart Anki, we should see that in decks that provide us with, in decks like this one, for instance, where we have 4 review cards and 21 new cards, we should now see that the progress bar will stop progressing after having achieved those 4 reviews. So let's do this. Let's quickly scroll through these. And as you can see, the progress bar moves along very quickly, as contrasted to before. So now it moved a bit to the left. That's because we just graduated a card from the new queue to the learning queue, but I think the general gist of this should be clear. If there are only reviews or if there are a lot of new cards in a deck and just a few reviews, then this change will allow you to show the progress just for the reviews, which I think makes sense in those cases. Okay, so that's as far as this modification is concerned. Another thing I was asked about is how you can modify the puppy reinforcement add-on and which other settings it comes with. So for this add-on, as we saw in the last video, one thing you can change is the images that are displayed. And as we saw in the last video, you just have to go into the add-ons folder and just find the directory that the add-on comes with, and then just replace those images. I'm not going to show this again because I've covered that in the last video. But another thing you can customize about this add-on are a few of its settings concerning the frequency in which you are shown these encouraging messages. So once again, we just headed into the source code of the add-on, and you will see that once again we have a small settings section at the top of the code. And as you can see, there are a number of settings that you are provided with. The first one here will just customize, or will allow you to customize the rate at which you will be shown these tooltips. So by default, they are shown about every 10 different cards. But if you want to see them more frequently, if you just want to see more puppies in your review session, then you just have to change this value to a smaller one like this one. And the second value here controls how these should be spread. So the add-on does try to randomly spread the add-ons, tooltips a bit, just to provide you with intermittent reinforcement. If you want this spread to be 0, so that you are always presented with an encouragement every X cards, then you can just set the spread to 0, which means that from now on we should be seeing a puppy every 3 cards. The other settings here are also pretty self-evident. You can customize the color of the tooltip background, and you can just set up some additional encouragements if the default ones are not sufficient. And as you can see, they come in different tiers. You have a low, middle, high, and max tier, and depending on your performance, you will then be presented with different encouraging messages. Okay, so let's save this and then restart Anki to see the effect. We should just now see a lot more of these tooltips popping up as we go through our reviews. So yeah, there we go. After 3 cards we got our first tooltip, and after 6 cards we got our second one. So much more frequent than before. Another question, and the last one as far as modifications to these add-ons is concerned, was how to modify the duration in which the visual confirmation of the answer feedback add-on is presented. So as you can see, by default, this visual feedback, this half circle, is presented only very shortly, and you might not be able to see it because of that. You can change this once again by going into the add-on code. In this case, it will be the answer feedback add-on. And in here you will just have to do a few replacements this time. Unfortunately, this add-on does not have a nicely editable configuration section at the top, but rather you will have to go into the source code and just find some of these values that you have to modify. Specifically, you will just have to find all occurrences of 250. 250, that corresponds to the milliseconds that the tooltip is displayed for. And if you want to adjust this to a higher value, you'll just have to replace it in all of its instances with that particular value. So for instance, if we want to showcase this semicircle for a second, then we'll just have to find all of these 4 different occurrences of 250 and replace them with 1000. Okay, having done that, we will then just save the add-on and once again restart Anki. And we should now see this confirmation much longer. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so that's as far as these modifications is concerned or are concerned. I hope you enjoyed this technical site or this technical dive into add-on modifications. It might have been a bit dry, but I think it's quite helpful, especially if you have not modified source code before. I hope this helped you understand more clearly how you can modify add-ons like these, how you have to handle variables and different other aspects within the code. And I hope you will be able to customize your own add-ons with the help of this video. So that's as far as this small status update and callback to the last video is concerned. The next video should be coming out this weekend. I will be showcasing a completely new add-on which I have not published on Anki Web so far. I hope you will enjoy it. Until then, guys, thanks again for watching. I hope to see you soon, and good luck with the studies as always. Bye.